Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Saka here with another episode of My Summer Car. When we last left off, we got about halfway, I would say, in building our engine. We are a little bit tired, a little bit dirty, have to pee just a touch, but nothing will stop us from finishing this engine today. So we have it here on the mount. We had the engine plate on. Yes, we did. Next up then is the starter, and we need two 7mm bolts for that. Let's get there it was. Let's get the starter on. Just a little finagling. What? There you go. Come on. That pixel perfectness. Okay, that was a chore. Now let's go open up our toolbox here. Grab our 2x7s and go ahead and give these a twist. Like so. Come on now. There we go. Starter is now in. The next step is the carburetor, which we already put on, I believe, over here. Yes, indeedy. Next up is the headers. All right, so let's get the headers on this bad boy. Wherefore be the headers? Are they over now? I'm probably blind as a bat. Rocker cover. Oh, we already put the headers on, didn't we? No, it's a rocker shaft. No, the header. Yeah. We need the headers right here. Ahem. And they go on this side right by the carburetor. And those require a 8mm. So let's grab our 8mm wrench. And they are sporadic here along the left-hand side. One there. And then it looks like two. No, that one's already tightened from the carburetor. There's two. And three, obviously. All right, so nothing should be coming down from there. We're looking for the other bolts. Come on now. There's four, which means the other one should be over here. No? Oh, right here. Okay, so there are 5 bolts for the header. Next is the flywheel. Let's grab our flywheel here and put it on this side. There we go. And this is going to take a lot of wrenching. This is going to be 6 7mm. So I will go ahead and tighten these. Flywheel is attached. Next up on our docket is assembling the clutch by hand. Now, whenever I played before, this is where I sort of got into trouble because the clutch plate will fit on the engine right now, but of course there's going to be this big gap that you see right there. What you have to do is actually assemble the clutch on its own and then put it all on the engine together. So first is the clutch disc to the clutch pressure plate. Now let's flip this over and get this nice and yellow. Come on now. We need you to fit. All right, so we have to go clutch, cover plate first, and then the clutch, and then the pressure plate. And then all of this gets placed right over that flywheel, like so. And that is 6 6mm. So let's grab that wrench and get to wrenching. 6 bolts on. Next up is the oil pan. So this is going to increase the physical size of the engine quite a bit as we place the oil pan up under the engine like so. And the oil pan is going to be 8 7mm wrenches. Let's actually move our toolbox a little bit closer here. Work smarter, not harder, and all that good stuff. And let's wrench these guys down. The outside edge here is going to be the 7mm, and then we are going to have a 13mm to close up the drain plug. All right, let's grab our 13 here and go right here in the base of the oil pan, close up our drain plug. We don't want any oil running out of this thing, and that will do that. Next is the gearbox, and this one is also going to take quite a bit of wrenching to attach, but this will fit right over here. We want the sort of gear on the right side by the clutch assembly, and that fits right there in that little cubby hole. For the gearbox, we need 6 7mm and 1 10mm. So let's get to wrenching with the 7mm. All right, I cannot for the life of me figure out where the 7th, oh no, it was 6, I misread. So it's 6 7mm and 1 10mm here, which is the bolt that connects the gearbox to the block here. So gearbox is installed. Next is the drive gear, and that takes the 6mm adjustments here. So our drive gear right over here. So let's get this on the gearbox like so, and then we just go around the world here. 1, so don't forget this little guy. This bolt here connects to the transmission here. So don't forget that one. You've got your 6 that bolts the drive gear in from the clutch assembly. So don't forget this little guy here. Next up is the, according to the guide, now we mount the motor to the hoist, but we already have that ready to go. We adjust valves with our screwdriver. However, it isn't ready to tune yet. I'll tune it once we get it in the car. Then we have our rocker cover, and we need 6 7mm there. So rocker cover will be on, and that's right, we'd have the 6 and not the 7. All right, next to last in the grand scheme of things is the fuel pump. So let's go ahead and get the fuel pump on. Looks like it sort of wraps around the engine like so. And that fuel pump requires 2 7mm screws as well. And there we go. The engine is nearly done. It recommends waiting to put on the air filter until after you get the engine mounted in the car. And these points right here are your engine mounts. So once they go in and they fit correctly, this is where you'll be mounting the engine to the body. So next thing what I would like to do is, in order to get started working on this car here, first order of business, we are going to raise it off the ground, both in the front and the back, just high enough to get the tractor forks under it. So we're going to just jack up the front end just a touch here. That should be good enough. And then the car jack is actually back here in the corner. Often overlooked, but often unused. But this will be perfect in mounting the car high enough off the ground to get the tractor forks in. We don't want it completely off the ground. Just something like maybe just 1 or 2 more pumps here. Something like that, because we're going to bring in the tractor around this side. So without further ado, let's grab a quick drink while we're at it. We'll bring over the tractor, and that will set us up for the next day for sure. So let's bring the tractor. It's located back here at our wood shopping shed. And one thing to remember is that the tractor also has a parking brake. So if you find yourself unable to move the tractor, the parking brake is just on your left-hand side next to the driver's seat. So I'll show you where all of those gauges and switches and levers are, and we'll go ahead and get this car up on the hoist and then call it a day. So here's the wagon for the wood cutting. If we find ourselves low on money, we can certainly do that. Let's hop in the tractor here. It's sort of a tight squeeze, but we will fit in semi-nicely here. We'll settle into our driving position. Close the door. First things first, the ignition is over here. So we will start up the tractor, make sure we're in neutral low. There we go, tractor is started. We can turn on the headlights for safety. The next order of business is to take off the handbrake. So that is 2 right clicks right there to push the parking brake down. And now, because we're not really pulling anything, I'm going to hit the R key and change the range. So we are in high gear now. And let us get going to the farm. Well, first let's raise up our front hydraulics just a bit. A left click right there raises the front forks, and then a right click will lower the front forks. So when this is pulled all the way back, you'll see the forks all the way up. So let's get going back. Back home here. What we're going to do is place the forks pretty much in front of where we would like them to be. And then we will raise up the car and have this act as sort of our lift. And we can keep the car on this lift until we are ready to install the muffler. So I don't know if it was intended for this forklift tractor to be the jack of the car, but it certainly works out that way. All right, we'll put the tractor in neutral. We will lower our front hydraulics all the way to the ground, and you have to follow with your mouse to make sure they are down all the way. Let's roll. Now we don't want to slam into the car, we just want to sort of nudge up to it. Just like that, the car moved. Now we're going to go over here, we'll put on the parking brakes so the tractor doesn't move, and we're going to lift the front hydraulics. And we flip the car. All right, no worries. I'll speed this up real quick, fast, in a hurry, and I'll get this car flipped back over, and we can get it on the jack. Just one moment. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we have lifted the car up on the jack after that physics roll that we had. We'll go ahead and pull the jacks out of the way. We don't need them anymore. And then we will grab a quick rest, go to bed, and then call this a day. I like the floor jack a whole lot better than the car jack, that is for sure. But this will allow us to get right up here into the wheel wells and the engine well, and we can even walk through our fork here to get to the interior and the trunk area as well. So that is going to do it for me in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you learned how to put together an engine. Let's go ahead and pee while we are at it. I hope you learned to put together an engine, and in the next episode we will work on the chassis. We're going to start with the subframe. We'll get the front tires on and possibly the rear tires. The chassis isn't as involved as the engine is for sure, and then mounting the engine is probably the most difficult part. And then with the engine mounted, then we can get to the arduous task of tuning and then testing and then getting an inspection. But that's going to do it for me in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. And I will see you in the next episode of My Summer Car. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.